From a prayer before a prayer of Noam Elimelech. Do awaken our hearts and the hearts of all of Israel, your people, to unite with you in earnest truth and with love, to sincerely serve you, as it pleases your throne. And do fix your faith in our hearts forever and ever. And let your faith be tied in our hearts as a stake that will not fail. And remove all the screens that separate between us and you. Purify us with your love and compassion, and plant your love and fear in our hearts forever with no end, at all times and at all places, when we walk, when we lay, and when we rise. Let the Spirit of your holiness always burn within us. We always rely on you, your greatness, your love and fear of you, and your law, both written and oral, revealed and concealed, and your commandments, to unite with your mighty and awful name. Question for an active workshop. What do we lack in order to raise our prayer to the Creator? Again, what is it that we're missing to raise our prayer to the Creator? Active workshop.
דבר ראשון, להיות ביחד, לחפש את הנקודה הזאת של להיפגש ביחד, לפעול ביחד.
To be together, to work together, and scrutinize what we want and who the Creator is and what we need Him for, and to hope that our intention will be as directed as possible towards Him. We're actually not missing anything because we're here together. So all we need is to awaken each other a little towards the importance of our address, towards the greatness, the privilege, and the light will shine the need for the request to Him. I also think we're not missing anything. At any given moment we can turn to the Creator. Maybe we're missing a desire to connect. We're missing the opening of our heart. So it will open our hearts and connect us to one heart. We can always add the deficiency. As much as lacking, we can add more to that. As if the Creator gave us a certain deficiency and we need to identify it and to add on our own, from ourselves. Not just any deficiency, a specific lack. Maybe simply a lack that the friends, that it will operate through the friends so that they'll feel that He's operating through them, and to feel that He's operating through this. And a great appreciation to what we here are receiving. The work, the friends, the Rav, the books. So we will be able to be impressed more from the greatness and the importance of the Creator and want to be in His quality, truly. And certainly the place to invest is to increase the contact between us. because that's where the potential of the greatness of the Creator is hidden, where it will rise between us, of His importance, where we become similar to Him.
The more we stick to each other, we will feel that we need help for it, and that will help us raise prayer.
Second question, what do we need to do to complete what is missing? What do we need to do in order to complement what is missing? Active workshop.
To awaken the friends, raise their spirits.
In essence, what we're missing is adhesion in the Creator and adhesion to each other. And what we can do is ask for the friends to try to have this request open our hearts.
It's always good to add to what we do, to show an example of the greatness of the goal towards every friend, to give the atmosphere that we come for the goal and there's confidence on the path. Everything that can help the friend come out of his personal state to the general state and the arvut.
What do we need to do to complement what's missing? We need to pray for the Creator to give us the right lack. What is the right deficiency? To live according to the laws of bestowal.
For this, we have to awaken the importance and the greatness of bestowal and the Creator and connection, that this thing will be in the heart and mind of each and every friend all the time.
And we have 3 hours to exercise this, to implement this in practice, to be in common efforts, in a common demand for the light.
Most important is to do something towards each other. It could be in thought, in any way, just to develop this direction.
And to us to be helped in discovering what's missing between us.
What to add? Only to remember to keep the Creator in our demand towards each other all the time.
Take every desire of a friend and make it mine. Every desire towards the goal of the friends becomes my responsibility to implement, until I feel that my success is the success of implementing the success of the other.
Very important to guard each other during the lesson, take responsibility for each other, be always in an effort to adapt ourselves to the light,
simply constantly exalt each other.
After we found in the workshop what we're missing in our request and how to fill it, we will pray together for it.
From Rav's words, we have to pray for the Creator. I say with all seriousness, the 10 prays together for a few minutes and ask for what it thinks it is important to them. It is important to them to receive these discernments and feel these things and receive strength for it. Turn to the Creator. Sit together for a few minutes and pray. Each one quietly by himself. This is very important.
שלום חברים, אנו מזכירים כי אנו לא משתמשים בטלפונים בזמן השיעור למעט בעלי תפקידים שקיבלו אישור אישי.
Hello friends, we're reminding you that no one uses phones unless you have received special permission. Everyone who asks questions, stand up, talk loudly, and hold the microphone close to your mouth, clearly. We're going to open, and our lesson is going to start with Shamati. On page 129, Shamati 40, Faith in the Rav, what is the measure? And we'll continue with the silent preparation.
שלום, אנחנו קוראים בספר כתבי בעל הסולם בעמוד 559, חלק מאמרי שמעתי.
Hello, we're studying from Shamati, page 129, item 40, Faith in the Rav, what is the measure? You can send questions to Kab TV or Svivatova. Pertinent questions to the lesson will be aired during the lesson.
Let's see what it says. Although Rav is called great, if he is great in the eyes of the student, then the student is called a student, and the Rav is called a Rav. And otherwise, no. He could be a friend. The friend could be great, then he's called Rav. The creator is called Rav if he's great. Rav means greater, great. So how to have faith in the great one? What is the level of faith when there's someone greater than you, and what does it obligate you to?
Faith in the Rav, what is the measure? It is known that there is a right path and a left path. Right comes from the word the right, referring to the verse, and he believed in the Lord. The translator says right. When the Rav says to the disciple to take the right path, right is normally called wholeness, and left incompleteness. That corrections are missing there. In that state, the disciple must believe the words of his Rav, who tells him to walk in the right line, called wholeness. And what is the wholeness by which the disciple should walk?
Here lies the question. When there's wholeness, there's nothing to add. When there's a lack, there is something to add. There's room for work. It's possible to make an effort and succeed and be happy in the results and so forth. From here we see that treating the left, where there's the revelation of the deficiencies, problems, shattering, if a person relates to that correctly, then he's happy about the left more than he's happy about the right. There's a different kind of joy that comes from left and right, different kind of wholeness from left and right. So here is the first question. What is the wholeness we find on the right as opposed to the wholeness we find on the left? And how do we relate to the left, at least as we relate to the right? Even more, but at least the same way.
The wholeness of the right is to see the greatness of the Creator, the greatness of His actions. And the wholeness of the left is maybe to see that everything truly is connected to one another, but you just don't see the calculations from above yet in a clear way yet. You see that it's whole, but you don't see the good that does good yet.
In order to see the good in the left, just as the right and even more, the goal has to be important, and we have to understand that it serves the closeness to the goal even more than the right.
Yes, because the wholeness from the left, it seems like it's bringing us to a prayer, and the prayer is already a connection with the Creator. If we're in such a state, there is obviously no better state than that.
The wholeness of the left is a lack for the Creator.
Wholeness on the left is where we're in need of the Creator. We're cared for.
Yeah, there's no wholeness without right and left. You need both in order to have a demand for the Creator. You need a lack.
We need to actually take all the deficiencies from left and right and to let the middle line rule. We don't cancel anything. That's how we preserve the whole. We don't cancel anything, we just add and connect more.
Rav, what's the difference between lacking and whole? What's the difference between something lacking and something whole?
It's lacking could be that the deficiency can cause an action. As the action and the lack together are something that's whole.
Mostly in the action needs to be the intention. Why am I making this action? And if my intention is in order to receive, then it's surely lacking.
Could be that with us, contradictory to the Creator, it can't be whole without having something lacking before that.
One is the reason, the other is the result. So vessel and fulfillment, something and its opposite.
Yeah, lacking is what leads us to the whole. And then again lacking. And then more whole.
Yeah, it kind of reminds the desired and existing state. Rav, when I see something lacking, then what is it lacking in order to become whole?
Filling.
If I see something lacking, or to complete it, I have to come out of myself and connect with the force outside of me, which is bestowal and love.
Which means that if I see the reality through myself right now, then what's missing is to see the same thing through the 10 in a more complete way.
Because one judges through his own flaws. And in order to complete it, you need a complete kli of the 10.
Right, so what's lacking or not lacking is the desires of the friends, the sharing, the connection.
The prayer is lacking, is missing.
Maybe even happiness.
When I see that something's lacking, I need to complete it, to ask for it.
Yes, it's the request that's not... We're continuing to the reading. And what is the wholeness by which the disciple should walk? It is that one should depict to oneself as if one has already been rewarded with whole faith in the Creator, and already feels in his organs that the Creator leads the whole world in the form of good that doeth good, meaning that the whole world receives only good from him. Yet when one looks at oneself, he sees that he is poor and indigent. In addition, when he observes the world, he sees that the entire world is tormented, each according to his degree. One should say to that, as it's written, they have eyes, but they see not. It means that as long as one is in multiple authorities, called they do not see the truth. What are the multiple authorities? Meaning, as long as one has two desires, even though one believes that the entire world belongs to the Creator, but something belongs to man too. In fact, one must annul one's authority before the authority of the Creator, and to say that one does not want to live for oneself. And the only reason that one does want to exist is in order to bring contentment to the Creator. Thus, by that, one annuls one's own authority completely. And then one is found in this single authority, being the authority of the Creator. Only then can one see the truth, how the Creator leads the world by the quality of benevolence. But as long as one is in multiple authorities, meaning when he still has two desires in both mind and heart, one is unable to see the truth. Instead, one must go above reason and say, they have eyes, but they do not see the truth. It follows that when one regards oneself and wants to know if one is now in a time of descent or a time of ascent, one cannot know that either. Meaning that one thinks that he is in a state of descent, and that too is incorrect, because he might be in a state of ascent now, meaning seeing his true state, how far he is from the holy work. Thus one has now come closer to the truth. And it might be to the contrary, that now one feels that one is in a state of elation, when in fact one is now controlled by receiving for self, called a descent. Only one who is already in single authority can discern and know the truth. Hence one must trust the opinion of one's Rav and believe what his Rav tells him, meaning that one should go as his Rav told him to do. And although one sees many arguments and sees many teachings that do not go hand in hand with the opinion of his Rav, one should nevertheless trust the opinion of one's Rav and say that what he understands and what he sees in other books that do not cohere with his Rav's opinion, one should say that as long as he is in multiple authorities, he cannot understand the truth. And one cannot see what is written in other books, the truth that they say. As it is known that when one is still not purified, one's Torah becomes a potion of death to him. And why does it say, not rewarded his Torah becomes a potion of death to him? This is because all the teachings that one learns or hears will not bring him any benefit to make one able to be imparted the discernment of life, which is adhesion, dvekut, with the life of lives. On the contrary, one is drawn constantly farther from the life of lives, since all that one does is only for the needs of the body, called receiving for oneself, which is considered separation. This means that through one's deeds, one becomes more separated from the life of lives, and this is called the potion of death, since it brings him death and not life. It means that one becomes even farther from bestowal, called equivalence of form with the Creator, by way of, as He is merciful, so are you merciful. We must also know that when one is engaged in the right, the time is right to extend upper bounty, because the blessed adheres to the blessed. In other words, since one is in a state of completeness called blessed, in that respect, one presently has equivalence of form, since the sign of completeness is if one is in gladness. Otherwise, there is no completeness. It is as our sages said, divinity does not stay, but only out of gladness of a mitzvah. The meaning is that the reason that it brings the one joy is the mitzvah, is the commander. Meaning that the Rav had commanded him to take the right line. It follows that one keeps the commandments of the Rav, that he was allotted a special time to walk on the right and a special time to walk on the left. And because left contradicts the right, since left means when one calculates for oneself and begins to examine what he has already acquired in the work of God, and he sees that he is poor and indigent, how can one be in wholeness? Still, one goes above reason because of the commandment of the Rav.
There's a question here. I still advance in the work and see something new, more and more. How can it be that I say about the past that I haven't acquired anything and I don't have anything? Where did it all go away? Read the last sentence again.
What should we read?
And the
meaning is that the reason it causes him happiness is the commander. Meaning the fact that the Rav commanded him to go on the right line means that he is keeping the commandment of the Rav, as he was allotted a special time to walk on the right and a special time to walk on the left. And since left contradicts the right, since left is considered when one calculates for oneself and begins to examine what he has already acquired in the work of God, and he sees that he is poor and indigent. Thus, how can one be in wholeness? Still, one goes above reason because of the commandment of the Rav. It follows that one's entire wholeness was built on above reason. And this is called faith. This is the meaning of, in every place where I mention my name to be mentioned, cause my name to be mentioned, I will come unto thee and bless thee. And every place means, although one is still not worthy of a blessing, nonetheless, I gave my blessing because you make place. Meaning a place of gladness in which...
So why does the left that appears brings joyfulness, gladness? Please. Why does the recognition of evil need to happen with joy? There are several answers. Give all of them.
Because that's the possibility to go above reason, to go according to the faith of his Rav and not his personal feelings.
And it indicates progress. It means that the light has clarified the new layer of desire that now there's an opportunity to correct.
Right. I saw an example to this yesterday. The instructors yesterday from America were after the lesson, after the Zohar lesson, were in happiness because it gave them praise for prayer and to the recognizing our true nature. This recognition just brings us closer to understand that the Creator needs to complement each time anew.
Feeling closer to the Creator, feeling the true state better.
We discover that in the vessels of reception there is nothing. It means that we're getting closer to bestowal.
The left reveals in the person a need for the Creator's help.
And there's plenty to correct the moment the evil is revealed. So we need to be glad that we're identifying the corruption and the gift from the Creator. Otherwise we would be living in the illusion that we're corrected, which is the worst possible state.
I would also add that seeing that one is lowly and far and on the left and only thinks about himself, he's ascending because now he becomes closer, he sees his true state.
This is truly the scrutiny of the truth. That's why there's place for gladness. If he longs for the truth, he's happy that he has the additional measure that was revealed to him of who he truly is.
Rav, why can the gladness of the left be greater than that of the right? Why can the gladness of the left be greater than that of the right?
It seems like because in the left there's place for the work, there's an opportunity for adding.
I think that on the left you always feel connection, or at least turning to the Creator.
You feel that there's a connection, that the Creator is connecting to us.
Yeah, and who shows us there's a need? Who shows us the connection with the Creator and our true nature? It's the light, it's the Creator. So there's great joy that the Creator relates to us and advances us.
Maybe on the left because it's like being happy at the end of a meal. Or are we happy in the beginning of the meal? I mean, in the beginning you have a deficiency, you feel a need. In the right, in the completeness, you're full and there's nowhere to advance in there. You're kind of in a certain satiation of sorts.
Also, when you're on the left and feel the separation, you see how only the Creator can help us, and how we can make a true effort to rise above our nature. Whereas in the right, we feel perhaps we confused about the connection. Like in the workshop, we can talk about connection and see it that way, or that everyone takes for himself. And actually the mutual effort to reach something can awaken greater joy because it comes from work, comes from effort.
In the right, there's more danger for pride. I bestow, I'm in ascent, I'm so successful, I'm sharp, I'm connected to the Creator. You immediately fall.
And that fall is a good fall, because our work is to always be in greater connection with each other. and through that connect with the Creator. And the left advances us to that, to the demand for the prayer for the Creator. It's a revelation of a need of connection with the Upper One.
The creature who's opposite the Creator, the most important thing is for him to have a lack, because he will always be opposite the Creator. So the greater the lack he has, the bigger kli to receive the light.
What kind of state needs to be called Shekhinah, divinity, that dwells in the place of the joyfulness of a mitzvah, of a commandment? If there is a place where there's a gladness of mitzvah, that's where divinity dwells. So what's a place of the joyfulness of divinity? Please.
Mitzvah is correction. The correction from the desire to receive to the desire to bestow. That's the place where divinity dwells. That place that was there before, that was in order to be received.
When we are now with the lesson, with the Kabbalists, and the lights shine and shows us how we're connected or not, what are the true relations between us. And when we do work together, we actually discover the divinity and the need for the dweller to turn our connection to true.
The joyfulness of the Shekhinah can only be in the connection with the upper. That's where you get a complete deficiency, and the prayer of many is where everyone comes out of themselves.
Let's read from We Should Know.
We're going to read again in the article. We also need to know that when a person engages in the ride, the time is right to extend the upper bounty, because the blessed adheres to the blessed. In other words, since one is in the state of completeness called blessed, in that respect one presently has equivalence of form, since the sign of completeness is if one is in gladness. Otherwise, there's no completeness. It is as our sages said, divinity does not stay, but only out of gladness of a mitzvah. The meaning is that the reason that it brings one joy is the mitzvah, the commander. Meaning that the Rav has commanded him to take the right line. It follows that one keeps the commandment of the Rav, that he has allotted a special time to walk on the right and a special time to walk on the left. Left contradicts the right, since left means when one calculates for oneself and begins to examine what he has already acquired in the work of God. And he sees that he is poor and indigent. Thus, how can one be in wholeness? Still, one goes above reason because of the commandment of the Rav. It follows that one's entire wholeness was built on above reason. And this is called faith. This is the meaning of, in every place where I cause my name to be mentioned, I will come unto thee and bless thee. In every place means although one is still not worthy of a blessing, nonetheless, and I gave my blessing. Because you make a place, meaning a place of gladness, in which the upper light can be.
How am I happy? With what am I happy? What is the place where there's room to make that place a place worthy of the Shekhinah, divinity? Please.
What I heard here is that it's the ability to hear the advice of the Kabbalists, of Rav, and the ability to implement them. That's the place for gladness. Because maybe I don't understand him always, or maybe I can't manage to carry it out each time, but it's an action of the right line, contradictory to everything that's in my left line.
The happiness here is from being able to make an action that is not with the intention to receive. If I go on the left and don't see any place of joy and still make an action towards being closer to the friends and asking for them and everything that we learn, then it's basically like a masach, because my will to receive is covered. It doesn't see any taste, and it's a true action of bestowal.
Yes, the happiness is from...
Rav, questions? None? Tzvika? Yes.
I'm sitting here. What happiness are you talking about? I don't know what happiness you're talking about here.
Me? When I see a flaw in something, for instance, when I look at you, right? I'm happy. Why am I happy? Explain to me.
Because you simply missed me after 2 weeks and you saw me.
And really, I'm happy to see a flaw because it's a sign that I first corrected that place and now I can see a new flaw. So I already have an indication that I corrected something before and now I see a flaw. So I'm happy. Not even about the current state, but about the previous state that I corrected. And now I discover something new. And as I discover something new, I'm happy about it too, because I have a place to make a correction and then enjoy it. Both from the past and the present and the future, I am, in every sense, in every state, I'm joyful.
But he writes that it finds that all his completeness is built above reason.
Yes.
I mean, really,
what
I'm
does
not
it mean
happy.
Above reason? Above the feeling. So, in my feeling, I find troubles, problems, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
right?
It's terrible.
Now, above that feeling, when I see where it comes from, what for, and what preceded it, I'm happy. 2 levels.
Is that a psychological state? What is it?
Well, what's psychology?
I don't know, really, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. It's written here, being happy all the time, it repeats itself. But in truth, my feeling in truth, without being a hypocrite, I'm not happy.
This means that you don't accept it as a mitzvah.
Can you explain to me and open this up? What does it mean that I'm not accepting as a mitzvah, so I understand?
I have to see that these things are coming from the greater system, which according to my ability always reveals to me problems, troubles of all sorts. And I have to fix my attitude to them. That's it. So this system exists. It's before me. And when all sorts of flaws and corruptions appear, it indicates that besides my attitude to them, there's nothing I need to do. So I need to correct that. What's the problem? With each and every correction, the moment I see the corruption, and when I think of what it comes from, and why, and what's the reason, and when I work on it, and when I conclude it, for all those things, I have joy. Why not?
When do you need to be happy? When does that point need to come where you can truly be happy?
All the time.
Oh, so you open it up. You said a lot of trouble, a lot of problems. You come here and you tell him, If you adhere to his Rav, so here's what the Rav says, that it really works above reason. But
you're being told that you are always being under the intensive care of the teacher, of the Creator. That the Rav only teaches you how to relate to that, because you need an intermediator. But you're always being taken care of by the upper force, and he builds your soul. And all you have to try is to cling to his actions, to adhere to his actions. You see his actions as good or bad or nothing at all, but you need to be understanding where it comes from. Where it comes from the Creator. Where does it come from that he gives you the vision of the flaw and helps you change your reason about it? Not go with your own reason, the feeling of what that flaw awakens in you, but also the level above that it's for my own good, and I want to adhere to someone. If someone gives me a beating, I kiss his hand. And then I advance. Advance with what? With the understanding that I want to cling to the Creator above the beatings. Once I try to do that, I see that it's actually possible. And then I detach from the corporeal level, and I'm already on the adhesion on a spiritual level, above the corporeality, which does not disappear.
And it's much easier to do all of that when you're in your 10. It's much easier to go through this.
You mean the practical, de facto 10?
Really practically, inside your 10.
And what if you're not in a physical 10 right now?
It's very difficult. How could you do it? There's no one to encourage you. How can you do it?
I don't think so.
How? Give me an example.
I don't think that we're in a state where if I am, like Rabar says, a few miles away from the 10, then I feel detached.
I didn't say disconnected. I said to do this work and to be in gladness. You need people. You need a 10 so that, because, sometimes you're alone. You get into a dark space. You need a 10 to encourage you, to bother you, to...
Well, look, yes and no. Like you say, you're not going to feel the evil also. You'll always be confused by them. They'll always influence you, and you'll just be joyful about it, and that's it. You also have to feel the blow, and that you ask a question that comes from the blow, and where does the beating come from, and the children of Israel sigh from the work, and they don't know what to do, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, what? Immediately, it's like when I turn on some radio, and then immediately I'm happy about it. No. You need to try in every place, and the Creator sets up all the means for that we are both, when we are both close to the 10 or outside of the 10 or even opposite to the 10, not wanting it and so forth, still, with all the opportunities, we come to a recognition that everything that comes for the better. Yes, Oren.
It's written in the article, one who's on the authority of the single therefore he needs to rely on his opinion of his Rav and to believe what he says. He has to go according to what his Rav commanded him to do so. Can you explain this?
His Rav is already in the truth, and the student is still below it. So he can use the reason of his Rav. That's what he says. Yes.
The more a student studies from his Rav, his level grows in his own opinion, his own mind.
Oh, the student?
Yep. How can he keep that relationship between a student, a disciple, and his Rav?
That's already a different problem. Not a different problem, but there are states that awaken in the person, in the student, that are against the Rav, against the Creator, against the group, and so forth. And accordingly, he needs to know what to answer all these states of these complaints. What to do? Only adhesion in the group, but true adhesion when he lowers himself, makes himself little towards the friends. That's first. This is something you can see even in one's physical behavior, how much he lowers himself or not. And that's the only thing that can help. Okay? Yes.
שאלה של ג'וזף מקליפורניה.
A question from Joseph from California. As the moment that the flaw has been exposed, what's the order of actions I need to do to correct my attitude to the situation?
When I see the flaw, first of all, it's a question that should begin, the answer should begin from, do I have arvut? If I have arvut, if I'm supported by the environment, then I immediately begin to come to the state with a weapon. Let's say some flaw has been exposed now, and I'm happy. I'm happy. Because first, it wasn't shown. When it wasn't shown, it's like Baal Sulam says in the letter. What letter is it? Letter 5. Yeah. That what does not appear was there before too, but it wasn't apparent. And because it was not apparent, we thought it's not there and that I'm whole, and now that it's apparent, then it was surely there before. And the fact that it's now apparent, visible, that's great salvation, because a person is given what he's capable of correcting. So all the problems and troubles the Creator drops on me, and besides Him there's no one else to do it, it's only Him. So I'm happy about anything, the worst possible things. Why? Because He gives it to me only for the sake of correction. There's no punishment about it whatsoever. Never. He says about Himself, I've created the evil inclination. And all the problems and corruptions are all coming from the evil inclination. So there's really no flaw that is personally belonging to me. When do I feel that I am making a sin, that I make a flaw? When I'm not doing what I'm capable of doing. That's basically the sin. But not that I now discover that I'm a criminal, and that I'm a liar, and that I'm causing troubles and problems, and that's fine, that's perfectly fine. This is something that I am certain about in advance. And every time it appears, I'm surely amazed by what's inside of me. But still, the fact that it appears, that it becomes revealed, like Baal Sulam writes in letter Hey, this causes the sanctity of the day. What does it mean, the sanctity of the day? And he says, look at all those flaws, and they become a wave of bones, which means nothing, that they become nothing, because it all comes from the Creator. On top of all these flaws, you have to put yourself in a state where you are grateful for them, you bless the Creator for them, and you don't need anything more than that. Nothing. The corrections are, it's all inside. It's only the change of attitude. We have to reach a point where the whole world only displays to you where you need to think differently. And then everything falls into place. All corporeal actions are only for, like when little children cause a mess and so forth. The true actions are about our relation to what the Creator is doing. That's why it's called the Creator's work. Yes, more? Yes.
A student in Petach Tikva that's asking, how can I be in happiness not from my will to receive? And he says, if I'm glad for the Creator's work, then I'm already in the will to receive.
If I'm happy about the Creator's work, then I'm in a will to receive.
That's what he says.
Well, I would talk to him, ask him why, yes or no. I can't do it that way. But what he says is incorrect. Yes.
He writes here, and despite the fact that he sees many teachings that do not have the same opinion like his teacher, he needs to rely on the authority of his Rav.
Because everything he sees becomes revealed from before, in advance. There was a shattering of the vessels once. That's it. Other than that shattering, nothing happened. Besides the appearance and greater revelation of this shattering. And as it says, we are guilty, we have sinned, and so on, all that, all the troubles there are, you can say, but what do you mean? When did I rob? When did I kill? When did I, when? I didn't have the opportunity yet, you can say. So why is it written about it? Why are we saying that? And because in each and every one, all of these problems, all the 613 shattered vessels exist. And therefore, there's nothing actually new here. The Creator only reveals it to us so that we justify Him, so that we connect all of these things to Him, so that we want to be above these things in adhesion with Him, to be grateful that He puts us through all these states. These are all the corrections.
So how can we know what that opinion of his Rav is that he's talking about, to see that you're truly not deviating from the words of his teacher?
No, you're not falsifying it if you know that it's all coming from none else besides Him, and it's good that does good, and it's for me to relate to Him correctly and be above all those things in connection with Him, in adhesion with Him. What does it mean that I reach adhesion with the Creator? That whatever He gives, I say that it comes from the shattering in order to move me away in my feeling, and I want to rise above my feeling and be bonded with Him in a way that it comes from Him for my own good, to rise above, to be able to rise above my feeling. 2 levels.
So what does he mean when there are many teachings that are not with the opinion of his Rav?
Because the person can say whatever he wants. He's broken. He's not corrected. The reason of his Rav, what does the Rav say? This comes from the Creator, from none else besides Him, the good that does good. What you feel is in your own will to receive. Rise above it and cling to the Creator.
So is there something a person can believe on his own, or does he have nothing to grip onto on his own?
Well, what do you mean, believe in oneself? What?
I don't know.
You have to believe that this is so, and this is called faith in the Rav.
Okay, that's clear. I just don't understand how it turns out from this that like you are completely nullifying yourself, and you yourself can't understand anything unless you.
That you're taking upon yourself this method, this teaching. Yeah, Torah.
So, at what stage, or how do you protect yourself not to fall to a place where you begin to believe in the fact that you know something?
I accept the method we spoke about now, that if something bad appears, immediately I need to relate correctly to this evil. That it comes from good that does good, that it's none else besides Him, that it's in order for me to determine my relation above this bad, which on the second level, which is above reason. There's where I feel myself, which is called my reason, and then when I want to relate to it differently on the level of faith. That's how I determine it.
I understand that attitude. I simply can't succeed, or maybe I don't understand what he's writing. He writes as if he reads other teachings, he sees other things than what his teacher is telling him about.
Well, other teachings, meaning how his will to receive pushes him in various directions all the time. How to relate differently to what's happening.
Okay, so when he hears his Rav, and his will to receive is pushing him in all those different places, how does he know that his response to what he hears from his Rav is the right response?
By annulling his relation to his feeling. He doesn't want to be immersed in his feeling and that this will determine everything. He wants to rise above it.
Moscow.
Good morning, Rav. Good morning, friends. A question from Moscow. What is gladness that Baal HaSulam writes about? How is it expressed?
The gladness is expressed in that according to my will to receive, I'm in trouble, and according to the will to bestow, I now obtained, I ascend. And the gap between this and that needs to lead to joy. The gap between the feeling in the will to receive and the feeling in the will to bestow that I attain. That without the will to receive, the blow, I wouldn't attain the new will to bestow. Next.
Ashkelon.
Can you hear us? Rav, we here in Ashkelon are also, we missed you, we're happy that you came back. We're asking, how do you help a friend at the 10 that when he discover a blemish, a flaw? How do you help a friend? We either nullify or...
If we insist on the connection, on the arvut, which are the conditions that determine the frequency of the appearance of the flaws, then the flaws appear both in the frequency and the intensity of our efforts. Because from above, no one is failing us from above. Rather, we are given what we're ready for. And if we're not ready, we're not given anything besides little small troubles that only shake us up a little, wake us up a little. But really, we determine through the connection between us, and especially the work on the arvut, when we connect between us more and more, then we accordingly attract troubles to ourselves. You understand why, right? We attract the revelation of the flaws so that we can quickly go above them. But when we're ready and when we find these flaws, we're happy about the revelation of these flaws, because with our preparation, we look at them differently. These aren't flaws, they're opportunities to advance. Okay? Yes.
In what kilim do we need to feel this gladness?
The gladness is discovered in the vessels of faith.
And if we have yet come to faith,
It's faith still. It's faith after all. There's different degrees to it, but it's faith. It's above reason.
thank you.
Someone else there wanted? Yeah? What? Yes.
We see a flaw in the work and we feel it and we can relate to it sometimes. But sometimes it comes out that you look around you and everything's fine. But you nevertheless feel inside of you this resistance that is abysmal. And you don't know where it came from. You look at the friends are fine. You look at your environment, everything's fine. And nevertheless you have that feeling.
Right, and then what do you do?
As of now, I say none else besides him and wait.
Oh, who did you get this feeling from?
From the friends.
No, from the Creator. What are the friends? Where are the friends? You only imagine that they exist. You got it from the Creator. There's none else besides Him. There's no other source for anything good or bad. Only the Creator. So He gives you a feeling where you say, I can't stand anyone, or what? Something, or the opposite, or what?
No, I look around myself, everything's fine. I look at the friends, everything's fine. I don't have something specific to define that say it's bad. But in my inner feeling, I feel terrible.
Terrible? Without a reason? Yeah, like
Yes,
a kind
reason.
of a war of exhaustion? Yeah.
And that's it. As of today, I say there's none else besides him and wait.
Wait for what? Why wait?
That's what I'm asking. What do I do in such a state?
To do something that, well, first of all, to relate it to the Creator, yeah? Yes.
Yes.
If you relate it to the Creator, that He sends it to you and He shows it to you and does it, then what do you do next?
Yeah, adhere to the friends.
Cling to the friends. Okay. What do you get out of that?
After some time, that sensation passes and we continue onwards.
You don't use this sense feeling in a more some practical way?
I don't know where to direct this action.
Try. You take this feeling and you try to see what can I build with it. Like you have a great piece of marble. What can you build with it? How can you use it? You understand? In what way? Try it. You'll see how all those things that seem dry and it's just like a rock over your heart, you'll then see that there's progress from that. Yes.
I think that it's a question similar to the friend. After you say that there's no one else besides him, how to give it more volume, more body to it, more feeling?
It depends on the person. I can't tell you. It's an inner impression that I got this from the Creator. He sends it to me. How do I respond to Him? I now have contact with Him. It all depends on the subtlety of the soul, how a person begins to take that and work with that and begins to have some sort of a talk, a dialogue with the Creator. Moscow.
An additional question from Moscow. Oleg is asking, relative to what can a person examine his state?
In relation to what can the person examine his state? In relation to none else besides him, good that does good. All the friends are in adhesion, in connection, and something appears that doesn't exactly fit that definition of wholeness. That's it. Yes, Amnon.
Rav, he says that there's a special time to go to the left and a special time that's special for going to the right. If the left is a descent and the right is ascent, so it's a matter of feeling. So what's a special time? The feeling comes to me not from my desire.
No, you don't need to be in such a feeling that conquers you. No. You have to determine. And you have to determine it not according to your feeling. The right, left and right, ups and downs shouldn't be according to your feeling.
Then by what?
According to adhesion, according to connection, according to the ability to justify.
But I don't decide that, Rav. Sometimes the state comes to me and...
If you determine it, okay, the Creator determined it. The Creator determined that suddenly, boom, I'm in a bitter place, I can't move, I'm helpless. You were given that. It comes from the Creator.
If so, it doesn't depend on me.
What depends on me now is what I do with it. Usually, when a person sees it that way, that he is not, let's say he didn't determine something in advance and then this thing appears to him as a bitter state, then he immediately has to begin scrutinizing. Who gave it to him? What for? How can I come out of that? And then he begins to work. If you tie it to the Creator immediately, then it's no longer a bad feeling.
Let's say I decide to myself that it comes to me from the Creator, because there's none else besides Him. So how can I come out of this? Let's say I'm in this bitter darkness or in a descent or whatever. In a descent.
What do you mean by a descent? What kind of descent? In what?
In the feeling that I'm not adhered enough, that I'm not alert enough.
Then you are now happy that you were shown that you are not in adhesion, that you have more to add. That's beautiful. Why do you need to be sad about it? Why?
Because I don't have how to come out of this.
Well, the Creator gave you an opportunity right now. He shows you, He reminds you that you're not in adhesion with Him. That's called salvation. He's already throwing you a rope. Catch it and start moving forward. Just don't stop thinking that it's from Him. And why is He doing it? What for? What does He want from me? He gave me an opportunity to advance for sure. How do I tie that to the environment and to the goal? Start working with it. And then you'll see you quickly come out of it.
Can a person do this on his own?
Otherwise, how?
I don't know. Maybe he needs some kind of help.
If you need help, you'll discover where it's from. Don't start saying, I heard that there's a group. No. Try on your own. See that you forget. See that you don't know. And then you'll find some possibilities to do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes?
That's me. Ashkelon.
Ashkelon had a great deficiency for a serious connection in the area, and they invited great friends from Beersheba, Kiryat Gat, Revadim, Ashdod, Rehovot, and also Petach Tikva.
Good, we're happy to hear that.
Now we have a question. You spoke earlier about the intensity of the revelation of the flaws. So where is the frivolity of this?
Frivolity is also one of the flaws. Don't think that it's not counted in there. And it's a flaw that is very common. If there are all kinds of flaws and all kinds of styles, so frivolity is like the intensity of the feeling of the flaw. Ah, that's okay, it's a creator, that already happened. It's like all vague, foggy, like a fog. That's called frivolity. And that, we have to be alert to all that. On all the mitzvot or transgressions, when we correct them, they're called mitzvot. Throughout all of our transgressions, yeah. Well, and frivolity, as it's written, it destroys everything because it doesn't let you feel the intensity of the actions on behalf of the Creator. And then you don't enter enough of an intensity in order to correct it. Okay, Ashkelon? Yes.
You said something yesterday in the Zohar lesson about Rabash that many times you didn't understand who you're with, and that today, every once in a while, you remember all, different things, and it runs through you like electricity, that you didn't have the right attitude.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Obviously, we are sorry about our past, about many things we regret, and it's not so right, because we have to say that whatever happened was decided from above for us to go through. It has nothing to do about the future, only about the past. That everything that happened by the Creator, but you have to say, if not for me, who is for me? And then in the deeds that you determine now of what's coming before you, you are 100% responsible for that. But once your exertion, the 100% you gave, once it happened, you did it, so you can say, as he says in letter 17? 16. That it is still coming from above.
What can we do when we find ourselves in a state where we don't know who we are sitting in front of?
You don't know your friends, you don't know your teacher, you don't know the Creator. Obviously not. But what's the question?
What to do when you don't? What is the advice when you don't understand that the one in front of you, Rav, you don't understand who he is, you don't understand what he is?
Does the baby know anything about his parents, who they are, what they are? Also not. That's why we need to use the faith in our sages, that they said you have to determine such and such relations. That's it. You're saying, why don't I have the mind to appreciate my teacher or to appreciate my Creator? Obviously you don't. And you won't have it until you acquire it. But the fact that you're sorry about it and you want in some way to discover it, so they're telling you it's possible if you use faith in the sages, meaning that you'll count on those wise men that tell you what you should do. They're giving you advice. Don't be sorry or not be able to appreciate it, because according to your vessels, you can't. But be sorry that you're not using the faith in the sages, that they said, for now, you're a little dummy, do this and that, and you don't want to listen to their advice.
I find myself in states where it takes me half a year to understand what you said.
That also has to be that way. What can you do? I don't understand you. You're full of complaints. What can you do? That's how you're built. That's the path. What? Doesn't it happen that after 30 years since you finished school, maybe even more, that now you understood what you've learned there? And what did you understand back then? Nothing. Maybe a bit. Enough in order to answer the teacher's questions. That's it. That's how it is in life. That only after many years, it's like that in everything, you start understanding why it's organized like this, what the connection is between things.
וצריך בכל זאת זה טוב שאנשים נמצאים.
It's good that people are tense, but you have to understand there is none else besides him. After everything, every complaint you have, there's still none else besides him. That's it. We just need to scrutinize everything in order to organize that. That's why there is no evil that is revealed. It's only in order to correct. The evil, if we can, it's evil if we can accept it correctly in order to correct it. What's up there? Oh, I forgot about you. Please. Good morning.
And we all missed you a lot, and we thought about you all the time. Rav, my question is that in the start of the lesson, you said that Rav is something greater which we need to cling to. No, you are already the greatest, so we see you as the greatest already. How do we see? How do we see our 10?
Wait, Shamir, listen. In the beginning of the lesson, I didn't speak about the Rav. I talked about the term called Rav. Oh, so the friend can be Rav. Oh, so the teacher can be Rav. Oh, so the creator can be Rav. That's what I meant.
So how do I see my 10 as the Rav every time? Because
that's what you have to make efforts upon. And to understand that what we see is what the Creator wants us to see. That's why He ruins all this Malchut of Ein Sof that's before me. And I see all kinds of flaws and problem and a mess and people that are like this and like that. And even in between my friends that He says, this is where you have to cling to. Also there I see flaws. So I need to work on that. What's the question?
The same question, Rav. How do I see the friends as a Rav? Because it's still it's something, because I sit with the table and we are learning together, but it's so difficult to see them as the
I see before me Malchut of Ein Sof, but shattered, broken. And really, if you look at the world, you see what it's like. From day to day, it becomes worse. Good. Now, the Creator brings me to the good fortune, puts my hand on it, and says, take this for yourself. What? Take the 10. Take this. If you work with them, I will save a place for you in heaven. What's heaven? That same 10, when it is organized correctly between them and they build the Malchut, that Malchut is their mutual heaven. And the Creator is revealed there. So that is what I have to concentrate my efforts upon. So what are you asking?
And there was one more question I wanted to ask, Rav, that there is right line and there is a left line. What does it mean to be in the middle line, Rav?
The middle line will be given from above. There is no middle line. Right and left. The quality. There's the will to receive and the will to bestow. The middle line is the combination, the correct connection between the two. It'll be revealed. Man can't do that. The Binah reveals it. Okay? Good. Good to see you, that you're happy. You see, Tzvika, look. Young people are happy. You're already... Yeah, Uri.
How do we prepare ourselves to those flaws that come our way? How do we prepare ourselves? Because it's either you run away or you swipe it beneath the carpet. How can I prepare myself to work with it instead of run away from it?
That is up to the elvut between the friends and your personal preparation. That each time, every time, you convince yourself that everything that's revealed is for your correction.
But today what happens, I feel that I swipe things under the carpet. I met friends who left the path.
That's for now. What you say about the friends?
They leave the path when the flaws are revealed. We didn't prepare ourselves, so this is what happens.
How can you prepare yourself for the flaws to be revealed?
I don't know.
Just by you guys speaking about it. In what way do you have to overcome them? In which way you have to accept them? That it all comes from none else besides Him. That it's the revelation of evil that happens to man. It all comes from above. That it's not the picture of this world. It shouldn't confuse him. It all comes from the Creator. The Creator wants him to feel in such a way. That's why when the evil comes and problems, and it doesn't matter in what direction, it's all the Creator presenting before him. It's like a false picture. That by this he teaches man how to relate to things above reason, meaning through the quality of bestowal, above his will to receive, in adhesion to the Creator, through the friends. It's all exercises, constant exercises. Talk about it more, then people, you think they won't run away, good, so they won't, please. But this is what we have to be ready for. I worked on this, it's not simple. It's not simple. You think that to be next to a great Kabbalist, that's a gift. It's not a gift when you're distant. So you think that there's heaven and a gold mine. Once you're in it, you see there's no heaven and no gold mine. And it's the opposite. So what holds you then?
The point in the heart, nothing else.
Only speak about it and learn about it, and to constantly be in self-convincing. It all comes from above in order for me to correct myself. And we have to get used to that when the evil comes, that's great. This is what the day brought for me, as Bala Sulam writes. Great. I did something good. I was rewarded to get new work right now. It has to be carved in your heart. Yes.
So now when we complete the lesson, the next lesson can be the essence of Kabbalah and its purpose. What do you mean that we have to talk about it?
Each one with himself, first of all.
Meaning?
That I constantly convince myself, again, look how many times I'm repeating this. Tzvika, help me. That what comes to me, well, comes from the Creator. Comes because I've corrected the previous discernment. I've corrected it. Now, a new vessel is revealed, which is shattered. So I'm already happy on the past that I've corrected, on the new vessel that I've received, meaning it comes, I'm getting work, an opportunity to come close to the Creator, an opportunity to justify Him, opportunity to turn to the friends, opportunity to say it's from none else besides Him. It is all given because of that flaw. I have to be happy. The main thing is to hold us a bit above it and not in the feeling, just to be above that feeling. That's Bina. It's already Bina. And in this way, to hold on And it all depends on the atmosphere, the spirit in society. That's what the atmosphere has to be. We're always above. You understand? In that way.
So I get the importance from the society. The work itself, I do myself. I have to constantly work on myself, to talk to myself when it happens, to believe that I've advanced to a new degree. And the importance of the Creator, I also have to receive from the group. So we have both.
Yes, both. Once you're with them, without them, they bestow to you, you convince yourself, yeah?
And there is a state where I feel that it is not enough, that what we do.
What you don't do enough, you'll continue. That's it. You want to ask something? You're as usual. You don't know, you don't understand, you don't feel, it's not good.
Everything is good, everything is wonderful. How from this work, where every state that comes to a person, he ascribes it to there's none else besides him, that it is for his own benefit, that he should be happy about it. So what should a person feel if he feels paralyzed? There's nothing he can do.
That's called that he's not an Adam, it's a female, not a male. Because he's under the influence of his emotions, the egoistic feelings.
No, he works above the sensation. A good state, a bad state comes his way. He says that there's none else besides him, that is good and benevolent.
No, but saying it isn't enough.
But a person looks at himself and he says, what is left for me to do if he's paralyzed?
To do all kinds of actions against that feeling, not to erase it, to keep it. That feeling is great, it's nice, as much as I'm sorry, as much as it's beautiful. Now above this, I'll wrap this feeling with a nice attitude towards the Creator. I'll kiss Him, like the hand that gives you the blow.
That is exactly my question. How can we hold two feelings in the same box?
You must. It's 2 levels, 2 degrees. A bit of schizophrenia, that's good.
It's kind of a split personality.
Yeah, exactly. I'm serious. That's the only way. It doesn't contradict each other. It's 2 worlds. We have to be in Bina and in Malchut. We have to be in both. It's not a problem. It's not. A few exercises and you'll see. You'll hold on to it. You won't want to leave it, because by this you get an observation about the world and life and what's happening to you. You look at everybody, you're sorry for them, poor people, they don't understand what's happening to them, what exercises the Creator's doing with them, giving them a bit of a blow, they run there, another blow, they run there. And in this way, that's their life. And you know what it comes for, and you just step on it, rise above it.
Sometimes you look at people and it seems that their life are more simple, and you even envy them.
So be jealous of animals. Look, there's a little bird. Oh, she has nothing.
Yeah, at least she has peace and peace of mind.
I'm telling you, you don't understand how each one, according to the charge of the will to receive he has in him, he has to correct himself. Look, also animals and plants and everyone has to correct. But the correction is in man, and they are included in man. If you're sorry for animals, so correct yourself even more.
No.
When a person feels this disconnection, that there is no difference in the work between faith in his Rav, what is the measure, and the faith in the 10, what is the measure?
I don't know. Why should it be connection, disconnection, the same?
Because in your last travel, when you weren't with us physically, we felt a great opportunity to reveal, to discover the 10 and receive from it much more than what we can receive from you.
Well, that's great. Good.
But still, people were waiting for you to come back and supposedly to, well, in the will to receive, as students, we feel that we can receive more from you than from the friends.
From me, you are getting guidance on how to advance. But to implement this guidance, you have to do it in the 10. Yes, Gershon.
About revealing the flaws, can you say a qualitative flaw that is revealed in a person? It is his corrupted attitude towards the friends that is being revealed to him?
Something's given from above. I don't know. Why do you have to know that it's towards the 10, towards the friends? Obviously, that's where we can see the main thing. But actually, it can be in anything. What I feel that I'm not happy with, first of all, in a beastly way. Here I'm lacking connection with the Creator, so first I have to correct it there.
This action of self-conviction that it comes from the Creator, this is an effort in annulment that a person does?
Also.
And after he made an effort to annul himself, he realizes that it comes from the Creator, and he asks to correct his attitude, that state, or whatever. Even happiness might be revealed, but the next day, the same corruption. What does it mean? That a person is standing still, or is it a new state?
It's a new state every time. Nothing comes back again, only advances. The question is, if it advances by your work or by the Creator bringing you a new state, but not for your benefit, on your account, but a new state. Nothing isn't revealed from before, meaning nothing is revealed, well, a second time. It never repeats itself. No repetition.
Is there a possibility to have such a distinction?
The sermon, I told you what to do. Don't be smart. Glue it to the Creator and that's it. Moscow.
Рафаэль из дежурной десятки Бразилии спрашивает.
Rafael from the 10 on duty in Brazil is asking, in the first degree everything comes from the Creator, there's none else besides Him. In the second degree, everything that comes from Him is only good, is the good and benevolent. But what is the next step in man's development? What is the third degree?
That he relates to the Creator and in love, that everything that happens is for us, above all these flaws, to change our attitude towards them and reach love. The Creator organized a corruption once, shattering of the vessel. That's it. Afterwards, He reveals it gradually, according to His plan towards each and every one and the connection between them, for it to be built with the participation of the lower ones. This vessel, in its intensity, 620 times more because of the ego that's revealed between all the parts. But at once, the shattering happened at once, instantly. That's why the flaw is just revealed every time, but it's there in the shattered vessel.
No.
You said that you have to be both in the will to receive and the will to bestow. You told it to the friend here.
Keep going.
I want to understand the change of attitude in these flaws that you mentioned earlier, how does one relate to the other?
There's this and there's that. On one hand, the big will to receive is revealed, and in it I'm in all kinds of problems. On the other hand, above that, I'm in a feeling of happiness and perfection, and both those levels exist in me together. Below, it's called Malchut, and above that plane, it's called Bina, or faith, Bina, above reason, Malchut.
No. There is
the existing state of all the flaws and the evil, and there is the desirable state where everything is in wholeness, and this is what we have to be in. And those two states, they have to coexist, as you told Rami. How should we express, or how should we use the arvut between us in order to maintain that thing?
Constantly. If you are in arvut truly, so everything that's revealed, you accept it correctly. And the arvut, if it comes before the scrutiny, that's great. By this, you hasten the time, awaken the dawn, and by this you advance.
How is this arvut expressed?
That you're ready for every flaw that's revealed. Because all in all, the flaw that's revealed is through the 10. And then you already get it prepared.
And towards the friends?
Towards the friends. So everything's revealed correctly. You see where you can complete. Like having a puzzle, you know in what way you can complete your piece. Every time.
Me.
Who? Yes.
A flaw sounds like a condition for advancement, so every time there is a flaw, I should be grateful for having an opportunity.
Of course it says to bless the good as the bad.
Is there a fast way to reveal many flaws?
But what, you want the flaws to be revealed quicker? It depends on you and how you're connected to the environment. It depends on your connection to the environment. You aren't dependent on anybody, including the society. Only your connection to them will help you get flaws in such a way that in a very short time, you'll correct everything.
So if you don't see flaws, it is because your connection with the environment is not good enough?
Correct. That's it. Oh, you really have mercy on me. What?
I don't understand. When there is an evil which is revealed in the will to receive, how can he rise straight away to there's none else besides him? Because practically you suffer in the will to receive.
That's a habit. That's preparation. In what state are you in? The Creator usually does this. He's sneaky. He cleans out the area. What do you mean the area? Your desire. That's his area. He cleans it from all your inspirations, from your thoughts, from your desires, and you are like in such a state that everything's cool. Nothing's happening. Not for good, not for bad, nothing. Then he brings you something. So the matter is that before this, as much as you've invented, the fact that you'll get a blow, that's obvious. And you'll have anxiety and fear and all kinds of, and you'll be mad and whatever. But it all depends, as much as you've invested before that in locating none else besides Him, and good and benevolent, and He determines everything in order to bring us to our purpose, and the whole world is our game, and have to be in this, in order to organize my attitude towards the whole world. The more and more you scrutinize this, eat it, chew on it, this state, the more you speak about it with yourself and with the friends also, you will be more prepared. Meaning, it's not that you won't get blows, you will, but they'll be greater. You understand? The advancement will be more real.
Okay, but I just recognize, I don't see happiness in this process, because on the one hand, all you get is blows, and on the other hand, if you're lucky, you can rise above it.
There is no happiness as
resolving the doubts. But the will to receive suffers.
The will to receive is made to suffer.
So what are you happy about?
And the will to bestow.
And at the same time you also suffer?
I'm happy that I'm suffering. I told you. Like Rabbi said, let it suffer.
So what does it mean to prepare yourself to determine that there's none else besides Him and that He's good and benevolent? What is the work of preparation here?
The man in you is happy, the beast in you is suffering. Yeah.
That is the result. I'm asking about the preparation, both the present and next states. How do you prepare yourself when you know that what will come your way, you will be able to determine this?
You have no chance to truly prepare yourself, like you're asking, unless you have a warehouse where you are accumulating medicine, money, food for time of need. Where is that? Environment. Afterwards, you'll work with the surrounding lights and invest in them.
So, to fill up the society with that reason that there's none else besides Him?
The more you prepare them in the connection with them and organize all kinds of these mutual forms with them, you can be sure that you have no better investment. It's the most secure bank there is.
Now, when the blow comes to your desire, the first moment you have to feel the blow, right? You can't.
Otherwise, what blow is it?
You can't react straight away.
You start feeling it as a beast. Fear, anxiety, all kinds of deficiencies. Yes.
And only after you feel it, you begin the work of remembering that it comes from Him.
Can be after a second. Ashkelon. Okay, Ashkelon.
When a doubt is a flaw, and when is it a key and a sign for longing and desire?
Again?
When is a doubt a flaw, and when is it a key and a sign for yearning and longing?
Doubt, if it is given from above, and I have to work with it until using it correctly, so it's not a flaw, it's a place for work. And it's good. But if I bumped into a doubt from my work and I can't skip above it, but I remain in that doubt, that's a problem. If I understood the question, that's the answer. What, Zvika, you'll be last, and that's it.
It bothers me that I have to be happy above reason. Why? I want to be happy within reason.
You can only be happy above reason, because in reason, you'll always suffer.
Baal HaSulam said, and I'm trying to understand what he says, since a person is in a state of wholeness, which is called his blessed because now he has an equivalence of form, and a sign of wholeness is when a person is happy, otherwise there is no wholeness. So what kind of wholeness is it above reason? I want to feel happy all the time without thinking about being above reason and being above reason. How can we reach that? Is it possible?
It's not possible. It's not the degree of Adam, it's the degree of a beast.
Why? When a person comes to an equivalence of form and feels the Creator.
The equivalence of form with what?
With the Creator. He crossed the barrier. Doesn't he always have joy?
What does it mean in equivalence of form? Above what?
That's my question.
There is no question. How many times can we explain this? You have two levels, the corporeal level and the spiritual level. On the corporeal level, your beast gets all kinds of trouble. That means in the will to receive. Gets problems, trouble that's revealed in your will to receive. Right? Good. What do you have to do? You have to overcome. That is help. You're getting help to overcome to a higher degree, to your will to bestow to the degree of Binah. In the degree of Malchut, the suffering remains. It remains. On the degree of Binah, you connect yourself to the Creator, to none else besides Him, good and benevolent, and so on, to the purpose of creation. And then, when you are on those two levels together, then you are all together in the feeling of suffering on the lower degree, on perfection on the higher degree, and in this way you continue till Gmar Tikkun.
So you're talking about the middle line.
You'll have a middle line.
And also there you don't feel true happiness?
For sure you feel true happiness, but in which vessels?
So in which kelim?
In the vessels that are above reason. So I'm telling you, when you rise to there, you'll feel that your beast is suffering. And the man in you is happy.
Also after the Machson?
I'm speaking beyond the Machson. What's bad in that? What do you... Okay. Okay, guys. 20 more minutes. Another question? Yes, Gilad.
Now, in that question is a continuation of what we had when you were not here physically. That state where you have both wholeness and the lack and the deficiency thanks to which we have wholeness, and they coexist, that is a state where there is no time. It's not that, well, at first you say that first there's the right and then the left. This is all the technique of how to come to this. But eventually there are no times. It is all as one. They keep each other.
Obviously they have to complete each other, yes.
I always have this question. How in that state where you have this wholeness, how now can we add anything to this?
That comes from above. What can we add from above? They'll give us, they'll reveal more vessels. It's only from the light. The light brings, we learned that in part 7 in Tess, that the light reveals the shattered vessels and they rise for correction.
We said that we have to be in a constant prayer. In this state of wholeness, which kind of prayer, what can you add to the prayer? What can you add to a greater longing, specifically in that state?
That you feel yourself complete, perfect.
Yes.
So what can you add? But only more and more need for connection will be revealed. Till Gmar Tikkun. What happens there, I don't know. But the state is, if you feel that you are on the path and suddenly you stopped, that's also a flaw. So you already have something to pray for. Meaning, it's in your hands always. And then there's something to start demanding for, asking. Yeah?
I will be more practical. We're in a 10. And in the 10 we did something, a process of connection, everyone are happy, they reveal wholeness in that state.
Well, it depends from what.
An act of connection that we do, and then what? There are two options. One to say, oh, it's wonderful, see what we've done, or to look for what else we can do. So if you say it's the light, then there's nothing you can do. The light will come, it will do. It won't, it won't. That's one state. But on the other hand, should we increase in a deficiency, so how do we do that?
Like the old man that is searching. Obviously, Togma Tikkun, we have to be in such states that we always awaken the dawn. Yeah.
But we say that we shouldn't awaken a deficiency in the 10 and in the work.
Why? What? To add more of a deficiency for connection between us? Obviously, yes. It's a positive deficiency. So what else can I do? That's the whole thing. Either the Creator reveals the deficiency to me that I'm advancing, or I reveal it. All of the justification of the work is that I work supposedly instead of him. Yeah.
This is something, I think we didn't scrutinize it before.
No, we didn't. We never learned it, correct? But we will. Then you can ask this. In what way then do we have revelations in all our states if we awaken those states and it's not from above, right? As if we work in two levels, right and left, or awaken the Malchut, awaken the Bina. We'll scrutinize it.
We have to be in a state where we constantly feel dependent on the upper one. It's not that now we have done something, because at the end of the work, obviously, it's not us doing anything. So how do we have greater dependency on the upper one?
Only that how to scrutinize the dependency on the upper one, we have to be connected and say, if not for me, who is for me? Specifically for that. Okay? For now. Yeah.
You told us many times that if a creature in nature is in a higher degree, let's say an animate compared to a vegetative, so it doesn't feel pain in the vegetative level. And now, supposedly, when we rise to a spiritual degree, we have to feel in the level of this world and the physical level happiness from adhesion. So the pain remains in the physical level of this world.
We don't lose any degrees. If you meet Rabbi Shimon, and let's say he'll have a body like yours, if you poke him, you'll hear ouch. Even though he's in Gmar Tikkun. The gap between the degrees doesn't mean anything. The Kabbalist also remains in the same level of corporeal pain and corporeal problems like the others. The question is, as much as he rises above it spiritually, but the spiritual level, the corporeal level remains. What do you think? Then he won't feel anything, doesn't belong to this world, has no flavors in anything. He has everything and even more than a regular person. Okay? So, good. So what are we doing now? That we have 15 more minutes.
There's a question from Moscow.
No, you don't have the strength to speak anymore. Okay, let's study tests, then they can ask.
The study of the 10 Sefirot, Volume 1, Part 4, page 229 in Hebrew. We are reading from the study of the Ten Sefirot, Volume 1, Part 4, Chapter 3, page 229 in Hebrew. We are in Inner Light, item 60. You can send us your questions to Kabbalah.tv. Selected questions will be here in the course of the study. Talmud Eser HaSfirot, Volume 1, Part 4, Chapter 3, page 229, Inner Light, item 60. It means that the Reshima is from Or Yashar, direct light, that remains from the first Hitpashtut, first expansion, reaching up to Keter. Since the Zivug Dehaka occurs there, in Masach the Bchina Dalet. Because of that, the Avyut, coarseness, the Bechina Daled, is regarded as its panim, as it is from her that it gets its entire level. It regards Avyut, the Bechina Gimel and above, as the Achoraim of its Kli, and does not shine in it. Its opposite is the Or Choser, reflected light, descending to it from the He'ara, from the elimination of the Zivug of the upper Bechina. For example, when the He'ara, Hazivug, the Bechina Bet, descends to a Sephira, the Bechina Gimel, that has been emptied of its Or, that descending Or Choser comes from Zivug the Haka'a, performed in Masach the Avyut, the Bechina Bet, that reaches up to Bina. The Avyut, the Bechina Bet, is regarded as its Bechinat Panim, anterior, meaning its maximum height. It leaves Avyut, the Bechina Gimel, and Bechina Daled as Bechinat Achoraim, posterior, meaning ignobility and lack. Because they do not shine in it, it lowers them and brings them down. In other words, the Shinui Tzura, the disparity of form in them, becomes the separator over the Or, meaning the opposite of the Reshima, where Bechina Daled, the more Av, extends and joins with the greatest Or. It is said they differ in their nature, for one is Or Yashar and Rachamim, while the other is Or Choser and Din. It is so because the Reshimot that remain in all the Sefirot come from Or Yashar and Rachamim, meaning from the first Hitpashtut, first expansion, when the Zivug on Masach the Bechina Dalet came out, where the more Av, the coarser, is better, being all Rachamim. However, the descending Or Choser from the illumination of the Zivugim that emerged during the Hizdakhut, purification, all these levels are regarded as Or Choser and Din. They depart from the Avyut, bring down and lower the Avyut to Bechinat Achoraim.
They don't use it in order to bestow. It's a negative Avyut. It's being used as in a negative way.
Thus, the Or Choser that descends from them is in contrast with the Reshimot, in which the more Av is more important.
Because it's bestowing more.
It turns out that what is regarded as Panim, posterior, for the Reshima is regarded as Achoraim, anterior, is regarded as Achoraim, posterior, for the descending Or Choser. Likewise, what is regarded as Panim, anterior, for the descending Or Choser, is regarded as Achoraim, posterior, for the Reshima. And it is for that reason that they pit on each other.
Keep going.
Item 70, Inner Light, relates to the Reshimo, craves and desires to rise to its source. Item 70. Since she is the part that remains after Hitpashtut Aleph, the first expansion, when she has already departed and vanished into her origin, that yearning and desire becomes imprinted in the Reshima as well. It is said, although it does not actually ascend as the Reshimo remains forever below, it nonetheless wishes and yearns to ascend. In other words, even though the Reshima is destined to remain in the Kli and never rise to her origin, she nonetheless has the desire to ascend, as the force of the O is in general necessarily remains imprinted in her. Item 80 relates to, but the Or Choser descends below. It means that it comes and extends from the Ma'atzil, from the emanator, by a new zivug. It comes down to hitlapshut, to clothe inside the guf, because all these zivugim that emerge on the degrees of his dakhut, purification, are made in the Rosh, from which they extend from above downward to the guf.
Meaning, even if the tabul rises the chazan onward to the peh and supposedly departs the light, but the degrees where the zivug daka take place, they descend below from the rosh to the guf, meaning rises and descends, rises and descends, ascends, descends. Meaning all of those degrees, even though they come out, and we call it nekudot, that they depart from the partzuf, but on the way, they keep filling the partzuf in their lights.
Because all those zivugim that emerge in the degrees of its purification are made in the Rosh, and they extend from there above downward to the guf. However, because they emerge during this dakhut, purification, and will not continue to be, it is regarded as Or Choser and Din. It is said, however, the Or Choser descends downward. In other words, if we take only the time of the zivug into account, it expands and descends temporarily for hitlapshut, clothing in the guf. The Reshima, however, wishes to leave the guf and ascend to its origin. Know that because of that, the descending Or Choser from the He'ara, the illumination of the zivug, overpowers the Or of the Reshima when they beat on each other. As a result, nitzotzin, sparks, spread from this Or Choser and clothe inside the kli that is emptied of Or. Thus, the Or of the Reshima is rejected from within her and rises above that kli, as tagin on top of the otiyot. As the Ari will write, they cannot be in a single kli, for they are opposite. Know that the above Ka'ah and Bitush are made above the empty kli. For the Reshima strikes on the Or Choser and does not let it expand, and the descending Or Choser strikes on the Reshima to clothe and shine in the kli. In the end, there are nitzotzin, sparks that spread from the Or Choser that descends and come inside the kli. Item 11, the words of the Ari.
Yeah, well, let's remain here and go to the next part.
And before we move on to the next part of the lesson, let's sing a song together.
שלי, אתן להם את הכל. מהצד זה הרגיש לי מוזר, הם בונים שם שיטה לאהוב, ועלה ביסוס לא מוכר, הלוואי והייתי קרוב, מסתובב עם הבלתי נתפס, איך אפשר לבנות אהבה, מרגיש כמו תינוק מיותם, סוג של קנאה מתוקה. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. מאחורי המסך שקוף, מילים מקסימות של אור, רציתי איתם לעוף, אבל הלב שלי שחור, מסתובב עם הבלתי נתפס, איך אפשר לבנות אהבה, אך בכל זאת מרגיש מיותר, סוג של קינה מתוקה. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. לעולם הם לא ייתנו לי ליפול, אני אתן להם, אתן את הכל, כי לעולם הם לא ייתנו לי ליפול, אני אתן להם את הכל. אז אני מול ידיים, גבוה לשמיים, לחברים שלי, לחברים שלי. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. הם מושיטים לי ידיים, הם לא נותנים לי ליפול, החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל. החברים שלי, אתן להם את הכל.
השיעור מבוסס על מאמרים מהספר כתבי בעל הסולם. את הספר ניתן להוריד באתר קבלה לעם, kab.co.il.
We are reading from A Sage's Fruit, Essays, the article One Commandment on page 49. You can ask questions live on CAP TV, and selected questions will be asked during the lesson. One Commandment, the wisdom of truth. Starting with the words, the wisdom of truth.
Yes, let's read what he writes, because first of all, this article is not for print. Baal HaSulam just wrote a draft in order to make it into a big article, but we weren't rewarded with such a thing. So what's the question here, basically? If we have to correct ourselves, the will to receive, I've created the evil inclination, I've created the Torah as a spice, and it always says this, and everyone agrees to that. So where are the 613 mitzvot we have to keep? Why does our correction depend on the 613 actions we have to keep in correcting our will to receive, in order to bestow, and what does the wisdom of Kabbalah have to do with all these things? And what are these Pshat, Remez, Drush, and only in Sod? Why do we stumble upon this question here? Where is the place of the wisdom of truth in the correction of man? Please.
The wisdom of truth. Earlier sages chose a private way for themselves, and I chose a general way, since in my view, it better suits the godly matter to be clothed in eternal letter combinations that will never change. I wish to say that with physical success, they will not change in any place and in any time. For this reason, my words are limited. Because of the above reason, I was compelled to express spirituality in a general manner. Yet, instead, I chose to explain all the details and spiritual combinations down to very small details which have no other source and origin other than this collective, that is, the purity of Kabbalah. And since I clarify the spiritual details without clothing in corporeal combinations, it will do much good to the development of attainment, and this wisdom is called the wisdom of truth.
This means we're not going to go into each and every specific mitzvah, the way it builds and what it does to us and in general to the whole world. Rather, we scrutinize all the mitzvot in general, all the actions we should perform in general, what correction should we perform over our will to receive, in bestowing in order to bestow, and then to receive in order to bestow. How do we locate our desires as corrupted, and what degree of thickness? That's the main thing. And all the personal things, the individual things that all the parts of Torah talks about, we see that he sets them aside. It doesn't seem the primary thing for him. The correction of the desire is what one should do, and that's what he dedicates his whole explanation to. And what he says is that specifically the method that speaks about the correction of the desire is called the wisdom of the Torah, or the wisdom of truth. As it says, I've created the evil inclination, I've created the Torah as a spice, because the light in it reforms. So this light that reforms exists in the wisdom of truth, and by its influence one can correct his nature. That's why he relates to this whole matter in general. He's not going to scrutinize each and every mitzvah, because there's no point in clarifying each and every mitzvah, because the corrections are all the same. It's a tzimtzum, masach, o chozer, zivug daka, the upper light going into the corrected kli, and that's it. Next.
Prophecy. There cannot be mistakes or lies in prophecy, as how can there be a mistake in the light of truth that stems from the Creator? Rather, it is as certain as the rain and the snow that fall from the sky and do not return there until their mission is successfully accomplished. Yet there is a difference in the receiver. In the earth, soil that has been prepared by stone removal and by plowing is more suited to receive than unprepared soil. Everything depends on the preparation. Also, there are certainly differences among the receivers. There are certainly differences among the receiving prophets. One is not the same degree as the other. Greatness and smallness are measured by the preparation in that prophet. One in a lower degree due to the absence of superb preparation will necessarily miss some inclination in the course of the light that pours upon him, of which it could be said that the light of prophecy does not suffer any mistakes. Yet, one's smallness causes him multiplication in letter combinations, which is multiplication of hoses and vessels until he attains prophecy.
Well, these things are not so clear for us, but for the ones who go into the spiritual degrees, they understand where they are, more or less, as much as they can touch the truth and as much as they can't. So let's leave it for those people who go into the revelation of the Creator. Next.
Prophetic success is speed. Although the truth in the prophecy ultimately appears in the desirable success, a prophet of a smaller degree still compels a longer way upon the people to whom he has been sent. Conversely, one of a greater degree, whose preparation is more complete, will suffer no deflection upon receiving one's prophecy from the Creator. Hence he will not multiply the vessels and hoses for which his prophecy will be clear, concise, and easily accepted by those to whom he has been sent.
Here too, we see that these things, we don't really understand them. That's why we read them. Rabash never explained this. We read this. We didn't read this article, but we can get a bit of an impression, at least about what we can't understand. There's a difference between a prophecy that basically depends on the generation of which the prophet is being revealed. We're not talking about the vessels, the way he corrects them above. The prophecy, as it appears, it is revealed to the Kabbalists in the generation, or the Kabbalists between generations, and the ones who are not connected to the wisdom of Kabbalah. And the presence of a prophet in a generation, it affects the whole generation. They merit by him. Next.
The smaller may succeed more than the greater. But besides the above words, it is possible for the smallest of prophets to succeed in his prophecy even more than the greatest prophet, concerning the above-mentioned speed, since he relies on revelations of prior prophets who paved his way for him. Obviously, it also depends on the development of his listeners, since clear and concise words require a more developed generation, so they can understand him. And if these two additions join one of small degree, he can succeed far more than a great one.
Yes. Meaning, we see how many conditions there are here for attainment and for bestowal of the ones who attain to their generations. Next.
Prophecy through the generations. Although Moses received the Torah and the law for all the generations, to such an extent that the prophet is not entitled to any innovations, his prophecy was only given for a time. This is supported by the verse, "A prophet will the Lord thy God raise up unto thee from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hear." If Moses' prophecy were enough for all eternity, why would the Creator erect any other prophet such as him? Clearly, his prophecy was effected only for its time, and when that time is through, the Creator sends another prophet to continue and complement his will. Yet, The prophet is not permitted to renew or subtract anything, for this would mean that there were a deficiency in the prior prophet. Rather, the words of God are always perfect, as it is written, I am the first and I am the last. And his only task is to extend that same prophecy to those generations that are no longer worthy of receiving from the first. And the last prophet is the Messiah, who completes them all. He too is certainly not permitted to add or subtract, but his success will be greater, since the whole generation will be fit to accept his words and be completed through him. This is so for two reasons, either because of their greatness, or because of his contemporaries, or because of both.
Meaning, we see how much the generation determines who it needs. Regarding the development, we had the chain of development until Moses. He was the greatest. Until the first temple, everything was according to his prophecy, and all the rest are according to the need of the generation. The prophet will come, meaning the great, but in a partial degree, from the degree of Moses. That's how we advance, and everything depends on the generation, how much the generation needs it.
The essence of prophetic success. The essence of prophetic success is to extend the upper light to the dwellers below. The one who brings it lowest and the most successful, above and below, are measured in spirit and in physical benefit, since the physical obtained by prophecy is the point that gives people footing, and it is known that the focal point in the work of God is the first footing.
This is something we should remember very well. The first footing is the hardest. Yes? We see, up until today, we see that medicine fights for ibur, conception. That's the most difficult point of this whole process of beginning of life. The first point, the first footing. Next.
A general force and a particular force. Their uniqueness is the unity of the Creator and the Shekhinah, divinity. A particular force is the prohibition on reception down to the lowest degree, and the general force is multiplication of bestowal to complete dedication with all of one's heart.
Yes, meaning to make reception lesser and make bestowal greater until the tzimtzum, the restriction, controls the entire will to receive, and bestowal will control the entire will to bestow. Yes, Tzvika.
It wasn't published, right?
No. Look, he wrote many such things. He wrote it for himself as a draft. Not even a draft. Just wrote it. That's it.
You have to be really courageous and to do what he says here. He says that they will not be able to change anything at any being time and so on. The saying itself, he simply says the truth suddenly.
Suddenly? Says, how dare he, right?
No, it's really courage. I mean...
Yeah, but how can it be that you will hear something if your will to receive is full? Of course, you have to be deficient. You have to have problems. You have to be frustrated. And as a result, you're willing to hear. Because what do you hear? You don't hear the truth. You hear some false thing. What you hear is, how can I improve my situation? I check that. Oh, I'm going to study the wisdom of Kabbalah. Then I'll become smart, strong, rich. I'm going to wrap everyone around my finger. And then that's how you come to study. And as you come, bit by bit, in the beginning, yeah, sure, soon you'll get it all. You'll know how to trick the whole world. And bit by bit, you study, then you discover that it's too late to run away.
It's amazing what he says here, that the spiritual matters being revealed without its combinations in the corporeal matters. In short, what he says is that spirituality is completely disconnected from the corporeal body.
Completely. What did you want to do? A spiritual action with your hands?
Why am I laughing? Because I see where you took your path from.
What do you talk about when you're saying your path? What are you sticking your ideas on me?
I'll tell you why this is what I think. Because you're not meticulous about lay the tefillin, do this, pray that way.
I'm not against it. But did you ever learn any profession?
Profession all life long.
He doesn't even know what a profession means. Did you ever study at school? You had a physics teacher, math teacher, geography teacher, biology or something?
I studied in Betzalel. I got my first degree, arts.
Okay, Betzalel, so can you build some... Okay, so you have an expert for everything. That's it. Well, what's your question?
But that he says that you don't need anything besides spiritual work. This is what he says. That's all you need. How can you explain that? Throughout the generations, we see the Jewish religion and the customs and everything around it.
Mister, I'm telling you, these are different kinds of professions.
What do you mean?
That's the way it is. It's a different profession. Some person explains the Bible and the tefillin and the talit and how to cook and kosher rules. Every profession, every subject has its own expert. Thank God, there's a lot of things in Judaism. You have your complaints about me? I'm a teacher of Kabbalah. That's it. If you ask me about the mitzvot, I'll send you to someone who explains to you how to do it. I have nothing to do with the corporeal mitzvot. I'm a professional in my area. That's it. Like I'm telling you, there's a physics teacher and a geography teacher. Can they replace each other? No. It's the same here. You came to a teacher in Kabbalah. That's it. That's why when you ask me about the physical mitzvot, I cannot say anything about it because it has nothing to do with me. It's a different profession. You should go to someone else.
The question is, what's the relation between Kabbalah and Judaism? Or there's no connection?
I don't know. I don't yet understand it.
This is what I'm asking myself. Do you have to be Jewish to study Kabbalah?
No.
So where did Kabbalah come from then?
Kabbalah came from Abraham, our forefather, who discovered it in ancient Babylon. Do I have to tell you the whole story again?
So, I'm in the dilemma. I don't understand the connection between Judaism and Kabbalah.
I don't ask about it because my profession is the wisdom of Kabbalah.
But it's related to Judaism, or?
That's something you should scrutinize, not me.
No, really, I mean...
I'm telling you. I have the writings of Bala Sulam and the writings of Rabash. I'm an expert on that. If you ask me about something else, I'll tell you I don't know. Must I know? Every teacher is a teacher about some his specific thing.
So what's the role of the Jewish people then?
I don't know about which Jews you're talking about.
The Baal Shem Tov and others.
if you're talking about Jews from the word yichud, unity, as Abraham determined, then a Jew is one who unites to become one. That's called Yasharkel, Israel, etc. That's it. That's how the wisdom of Kabbalah interprets these matters. And the Torah, though, ordinary Torah, the way the popular people see it, they interpret it differently. This is for the ones who don't engage in the wisdom of Kabbalah. For them, it's not important to correct their desire, to be in order to bestow or not. The ones who don't determine that by connection between them, they'll reach the connection in the Creator. It's a different kind of method. Nothing to do about it. It's different than the wisdom of Torah that exists in the people. It's not for the common people, it's for special people.
The good that the Creator wants to give through, you can get it only through the wisdom of Kabbalah. That's the only place that you can get it.
It all depends on how much a person wishes to acquire, what he wants, or how much he wants to acquire in his life. Each one has his own desire. This desire comes from the Creator. That's why look how many people you have in the world. Look how many Jews you have in the world. Each one has his own desire. Some want to discover the Creator. Why? Because you can't know why. Because they have a relation to that out of their root of their soul. It doesn't make them better. No, their desire is special, and that's why they came to the wisdom of Kabbalah. That's what the wisdom of Kabbalah takes care of, and nothing else. How to reveal the Creator to the created being in this world. Now you're asking, what about Judaism and the rest of the people? I don't know.
So that's the connection between Kabbalah and the mitzvot.
I don't know. I know that this is the part that talks about the revelation of the Creator to the created beings. And in it, mitzvot mean that we keep our will to receive with an intention in order to bestow. In our will to receive, we have 613 parts. When we can have them in order to bestow, that means that you keep all the mitzvot, all the precepts. As he explains in the article about the 613 18 and the 613 pkudin. You have to distinguish between the two. All right. Yes.
Bala Sulam says that the last prophet is the Messiah, namely the one that completes everyone, but he can't add or subtract, but that every generation shall receive, and so on and so forth.
Yes, meaning it's not he who should do something that others didn't do. Rather, generations have evolved up to his level, and then they complement themselves.
And also taking into consideration that Bala Sulam stopped writing his articles by saying that the generation is unworthy.
Yes.
The question is, who or what determines the development of a generation?
Only that generation, as much as it can. The Creator gives it the opportunity. As much as the generation succeeds, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We hope that we're advancing and we can help the entire humanity advance towards that. How much? I can't say. We're going to try. We're going to make a good archive, good library, all the tools and the systems of dissemination. We'll do as much as we can all over the world. As he says, it should be like the Messiah's horn. And we'll do. At least some of us are into this.
Meaning our part is really important to qualify the generation.
Yeah, that's for sure.
To prepare them. And in terms of how the generation accepts it?
That's not our work. That's the way the Creator sets things up. We have to prepare everything for this generation and for the next generation, so that everything will be ready for them. Yes.
We saw that when you weren't here, we saw reruns of lessons from the past week, and we found many discernments that we didn't see the first time.
Undoubtedly.
And also, you are preparing the generation. How are we supposed to relate to the texts, the lessons?
We prepare ourselves. We're preparing ourselves to be the teachers of the next generation. And I hope that I'll succeed some way in that. Now, as much as you hear these lessons, recorded lessons, you'll see things you didn't hear before. And every time you'll see more and more things, I'm telling you. But you'll see how much. Maybe this will help you change your relation to the recorded lessons. It's written that if you repeat something 101 times, it's not like 100 times. That's exactly about that. Because in the wisdom of Kabbalah, every time you correct your vessels by new light that reforms, and by it you go deeper into the material. So there is no doubt that repeating the lessons is something you should do and something you must do. Yes, that's it.
Okay, so we hear the lesson again during the day, but it's different that when you hear it after a week or a month, or sometimes after a year. You listen to a lesson and suddenly...
Well, of course, this is the way it is revealed. Of course. That's why there's no doubt about the fact that you have to prepare yourselves, prepare the archive, everything we have to the times you'll be without me. That's the way you're going to study. Until people with attainment will rise. People of a certain stature will come and they can give you lessons. That also depends in what way. But it has to be one with attainment. In the meantime, as we are having different kinds of lessons, only increases pride, and it ruins society. That's also something we need to know. That's why I let it happen, so we can scrutinize it. Yes, quickly.
Then number 4 is in Zichron, and they're asking, what do we have to focus on now in order to reach the very first degree?
Only on the Arvut. Nothing more. All in all, it's the Arvut and the lessons we're having. Good, we see them in Zichron. Oh, they put a big screen. They see us. Good. Well done, Zichron. What about Moscow?
Where it says about the wisdom, it talks about corporeality. Oleg is asking, what does it mean that corporeality will never change?
Yes?
What does it mean that it'll never change?
Because there are no changes in spirituality. Everything stems from the contrast between the light and the kli, the will to bestow and the will to receive, and as much as they can, by the screen between the two, they can be in this mutual, reciprocal action, that both the light and the kli work together, that the darkness illuminates just as the light, and by that we have an increment of light 620 times over. More? Ashkelon?
Good morning, Rav, World Kli. Ashkelon wants to bless Rav with your coming back to Israel. We're happy that you're here. The southern groups got together here, and the question is, regarding the prophecy. During the times of the first and second temples, there were prophets, and in the article it says that prophecy will come only at the end of days, and for this you need the hoses and the kelim. What does it mean by that, Bala Sulam?
What is prophecy? A prophecy is a certain degree of adhesion in the Creator. That's called prophecy. It's like this person, just like Maurice, who rises, acquires degrees, acquires screens, until he reaches a degree called Nevuah, prophecy. You can read the book by Luzzatto. It's called The Path of the Creator, Derech Hashem, and he explains these degrees to us. How you rise in this path until you reach the Creator. And one of these degrees is called prophecy. So why do they determine that in the meantime it's impossible? Because our generation is such that for us it's impossible. And also, since the days of the ruin of the temple until the final correction, there are no prophets yet anymore. Well, maybe towards the final correction, I don't know, but probably from the accumulation of all the vessels together, more prophets, or maybe one prophet called Messiah will be revealed. I cannot say, but at that time we'll see, and we hope we'll see this in our life here, in this world. We'll see these things. All right? Yes?
Regarding what Gilad said about the recorded lessons, there's a big difference between listening to the lesson during the day and listening to it together.
Well, of course, it's different if you were together.
It's a vast difference.
Yeah, of course.
The fact that you listen to the lesson together with the friends.
Because you hear it in a different kli. It's a different kli, a different desire, of course.
When we're in a different state, it's very different. Being together and listening on your own.
Yes, I understand. There's no doubt about it. You really should think about it, talk about it, and then publish this. Publicize it. Talk about it. Yes, friends, Moshe.
There's a general feeling that there's a completely new state. The groups knew the attitude, your attitude toward the group. Where are we headed?
We go through different states. I don't want to say degrees, even though in Lo Lishma there are different states and different degrees, but they're not part of the 613 degrees of corrections. So we're going into states that are prior to the Ibur, just as we read today as well, which is the most difficult state to go into. And let's really hope that soon, we're prior to, but this prior may require many efforts, and I hope we're going to focus all our desires and thoughts and forces, and we'll break through into the Ibur, like a sperm going into the oval. Let's hope it happens quickly. That's it. That's our state. You have another question? No?
If you
look at the pace, We're advancing very, very well. It all depends now on the preparation to the Congress in Italy, and in between, as we study, we have to organize many things in our organization, in Europe, and maybe even in the U.S. We have to reorganize all the time. We always have to update ourselves until we really become a whole, single kli. Yes.
How was your visit to Europe? It was felt as something completely new. Can you explain?
Well, there's no time to scrutinize this. Maybe you can do it tomorrow morning. We'll see. And also to talk with the new board. All these things. What, Gil? No? Okay. So, by this,
daily task from Brazil. Brazil, go ahead. Dear friends, tens on duty today, Petach Tikva, Rehovot, Berlin, Brazil, Germany, Moscow.
Tarefa diária. Convença-se
The daily task is
e aos amigos o tempo todo que tudo o que nos acontece vem do Criador.
during the day, talk with the friends about
Que tudo o que nos acontece vem do Criador.
we should talk with the friends about that everything that we experience comes from the Creator,
A fim de nos levar ao encontro dele
in order for us to be able to transcend and meet Him,
e fique feliz com isso.
and for us to be happy in that.
תודה לצופים בטלוויזיה.
So,
יום טוב. מפגשי היכרות עם חוכמת הקבלה.
the Kabbalah Alam College is happy to invite you to introductory lectures all over Israel.
בהרשמה מראש. פרטים באתר kab.co.il או בטלפון
Contact us for further information.
929. יחד באקדמיה, לקראת פתיחת מחזור לימודים לתואר ראשון.
And we'd like to invite you to an academia happening on the 8th of June
ברחוב נבטים 12 פתח תקווה.
regarding the special.
להודעה משותפת. נקדיש לכך 2 דקות ולאחר מכן נשיר יחד שיר.
Now we're gonna give thanks together. As Rav said, at the end of this lesson, sit together and give thanks for a good lesson where we try to be as directed at you as much as we could. And now that we're leaving this meeting, you keep us together, aimed at you throughout all the different events that we shall experience during the day.
ועכשיו נשיר ביחד שיר.
Суждено, преодолев туман, где правда есть, а где пустой мираж. En la unión encontrarás conexión para triunfar. Open your eyes. Oh, look up to the skies. 'Cause if your day feels like the night, I'll help you step into the light. Because together we can make the darkness bright. שנים חזרנו לחיים, האור עולה מתוך החברים. Теперь только вперед, сердца соединим, и мы достигнем нашей цели, слиться с ним. En unidad, la solución en tus manos está. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Oh, look up to the skies. Look up to the skies. 'Cause if your day feels like the night, I'll help you step into the light. Because together we can make the darkness bright. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Oh, look up to the skies. Look up to the skies. 'Cause if your day feels like the night, I'll help you step into